exponential equations and inequalities. It's very, very short like that. So today we are doing solving logarithmic equations and inequalities. All of our examples are going to be equations because that is what applies to us more. Inequalities work the same way, just instead of an equal sign, you'll have a greater than, less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to sign. Okay?
Yay.
So let's just go ahead and start with examples. This kind of builds off of what we did yesterday.
Instead of making points, we're going to make an answer.
Yes, exactly. So this particular example, I have log base 36 of x is equal to 3 halves. And I would like to solve for x. Anybody have an idea of what I need to do first?
I'll rewrite it.
Rewrite it as an exponential problem. Brandon, what is the equivalent exponential going to be for this problem?
36 with an exponent x.
Nope.
Oh no, 3 halves.
There you go.
Equals x.
36 to the 3 halves power equals x. I have a fractional exponent. What can I do with that?
Math.
Give up math? No. Say that again. Power over root. So this says that I'm taking the square root of 36 to the 3rd power.
Oh, I never did it.
This is the same as 36 to the 3 halves. Oh, wait. There you go. That is the same as 36 to the 3 halves. The 2 on the bottom says I took the square root. The 3 on the top says I'm raising my answer to the 3rd power. When we are doing these, we assume we are taking the positive roots of these. Okay? So what is the square root of 36? 6. And then I take 6 and I raise it to the 3rd power. And my answer is going to be what? You're going to need a calculator.
216.
216. Good.
Look at that, I'm almost done.
Questions, concerns, or issues with that one?
Wait, so this all we have to do today?
It's never what you have to do today.
I didn't like that.
Never like
It was a pleasant sound.
Normally I said it the second.
Right. Anybody confused by what we did here? Because I'm going to give you one to do on your own, and then we're going to move on to the next portion. Ready?
How many portions are
There are 4 examples in total. That's not true. There are 2 sections. The second section has 4 examples. There we go.
So we'll give my 6.
Yes, there will be 6 examples in total for today.
Oh, is that the first?
That was the first. So this one, if you already wrote the notes, is example C. If you didn't write the notes already, you can label it B. On your own, please rewrite this and solve it. So this one is log base 16 of x is equal to 5 halves. It gets kind of warm, so be careful.
Is it always cubed or?
No, it's whatever the numerator of my fractional exponent is. That's the power that I'm raising it to. Sarah, talk me through it, please. So I think you said 16 to the 5 over 2 equals x, right? Okay, so then what do I do from here? Speak loudly so we can all hear you. How did you know it was a square root? It's a 2 in the denominator. What if that had been a 3? What root would I have taken? Cube root. So make sure the root matches the denominator. She is 100% correct. I would take 16 and put it in a square root. And then what power would I raise that answer to? 5th power, good. Then, of course, it's really easy for me to take the square root of 16. We all know it's what? 4. And then I'm going to take 4 and raise it to the 5th power, and I'm going to get what? 1024.
Wait, what? Oh, it's the fifth power. Okay.
Yes, to the 5th power, because that was the numerator of my fractional exponent. So x is equal to 1024. Show of hands who got that answer. Show of hands who's confused by any of this. Good. So let's switch it up.
Harder.
Because this is a second section. Yeah, I can do whatever letter I want, man.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be confusing on the numbers.
Draw a line.
Draw a line, little squiggly, whatever you want to do. Yeah, label it C if you're really bothered by
Or
this.
just don't label it.
Really perturbed. Okay, so right now I'm looking at a different equation. This is different because I have a log present on both sides of my equal sign. This is very similar to when we had an exponential on both sides of an equal sign. All we have to do is ensure that my bases are the same for my logarithms, just like the bases had to be the same for the exponentials. Are both of my bases the same here?
Yes.
Yes, this is log base 2 and that is log base 2, which means the same thing is going to happen. Those log bases are going to cancel, and I'm just going to set equal the things I was taking the log of. And then I solve it. This one's going to solve a little bit differently, though. What do I already notice this is going to become? A quadratic. So I'm going to subtract the 3x over to the left. And then what ways can I solve a quadratic? Factoring or quadratic formula. It is essentially your choice, but this one's going to factor nicely. So when I subtract that 3x over, I get x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So to practice factoring, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to get -4 and add together to get -3. Anybody have an idea? -4 and +1. So this becomes x minus 4 and x plus 1. And just like before, I take each of those factors and I set them equal to 0 individually and solve them. Just like we had to on exponentials, I then need to check my solutions to see if either or both of them work. So when I set each of these equal to 0, the two answers I get are x equals 4 and x equals -1. Are we all okay with how I did that? Now we get to do our fun little check. So when I'm checking these, I'm going to take these values, I'm going to plug them back in for x, and I'm going to check to see if I get a negative value inside of my logarithm, because if I do, it's impossible. I can't take a log of a negative number if I have a positive base, and we'll always have a positive base. So I plugged 4 in here. I get 4 squared is, and then 16 minus 4 is, so it works out on this side. What about this side? 3 times 4 is 12. So this one works. I can definitely use 4 as a solution. Now I need to check -1. Again, I just plug it back in. -1 squared is 1 minus 4. Did that come out positive? No. So -3 would make this side fail. I don't even have to test this side if one side fails. Okay, so this one is called an extraneous solution. We've talked about these before. If it's extraneous, which means when I plug it back in, it doesn't work, we do not include it as part of our solution. So this would be the only solution to my problem. It could happen that both of my answers come out to be extraneous, which means that no solution is what you would put down on your paper.
Do we have to go back to the curly brackets?
We definitely should do curly brackets because technically we're talking about the set of answers or solutions. But if you didn't hear, now just do curly brackets. Our nice, pretty fun ones. You know how much we love those. Everybody okay with what we just did? Anybody confused by what we just did? That's what you're doing on your homework.
That's it?
Pretty much, yeah.
So we don't need to do any more examples.
One more. Let's do one more. We okay with that? Yes, Madison.
Well,
these log bases aren't the same.
Then we can't solve it. You just put unsolvable for right now.
Yeah, for right now, so tomorrow we're gonna solve that.
Eventually, we will learn a way to solve them, yes. Today, we are not going to. And for your quiz, I would not give you one like that. Actually, I might as a trick question.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you would be able to solve it. I could definitely give you that as a trick question, though. Just saying.
We know you.
Thank you for letting
I
me
hope you
know.
do that, because then
Well, not just not gonna do it.
actually, no.
Or
She's
you'll
still-
think I'm not going to
yeah.
do it, and I'm actually going to do it.
What would be the answer? Or she
Either
does
way,
not
Can't do
have
it. Unsolvable, no solution for now. Stuff like that. No solution. Yeah, anything like that.
No comprehension.
You might have to explain to me why it can or cannot be solved. That's another thing I might throw at you.
Because you said
Well, if you
so.
say
No, you can't say just because Mrs. Durant said so. You have to tell me what makes it unsolvable.
Because they take.
Yeah, because the bases are not the same, I cannot set them equal to each other. That would be a simple explanation.
Wait.
What if I write it?
If the bases are not the same, no, I took French in high school, so if I can't read it, I can't grade it.
Do you even know what that would be in Spanish?
No.
Exactly.
The bases here, so that's the little numbers. On an exponential, that would be whatever number I'm taking to the power. So if those aren't the same, I can't solve it. Everybody good? Okay, let's do another one. Let me pick a good one. Yeah, that one.
All fractions.
You had to pick a good one out of your
The ones are the
six.
hard ones that don't make sense.
Is it really all fractions?
No, maybe. No.
Pick one, pick one.
Which
Oh,
number?
There's a homework.
Well, this would technically be C if you wrote the notes already. I'm not saying I wouldn't give you any.
No, the homework is probably all fractions.
Maybe.
What
Maybe.
is that L?
We have 5 questions.
What is that L?
Yeah.
Natural log. We talked about this yesterday. Yeah, you should. That was probably when you were sleeping.
Probably.
This is not base 10.
No, it's E.
This one is base E. So if it says log of x squared minus 1 and log of 3, that would be base 10. But natural log means base E. So if you wanted to, you could change these into log base E of x squared minus 1 equals log base E of 3. I definitely recommend that. Or we could just recognize that because they're both natural logs, they both have the same base and they can still cancel. I'm going to do the thing where we rewrite it first. So this is equivalent to log base E of x squared minus 1 equals log base E of 3. I acknowledge that these contain the same base because my base is the irrational number E, which means that those bases and the logs cancel each other out. And I can just set what I was taking the log of equal to each other.
So what if it's not? No, it just wouldn't be possible. Because the bases are the same, right?
Correct. Yeah. Are we all okay with what I did? Took a natural log, changed it into a log base E. Natural log and log all follow the same set of rules. Okay, so if you can remember it for log, you can remember it for natural log. What do I do from here?
Move the 1 over. Add the 1 over.
Add the 1 over, and I get x squared equals 4,
And square it.
and then square for both sides. For this one, because it is an equal sign, I'm going to take the positive and the negative square root of 4. So this gives me 2 answers, positive 2 and negative 2. Do I just blindly assume that both of those work?
No, you gotta plug them
No, I need to plug them in. Where do I plug them in, Brandon?
in the equation.
For what variable?
X.
For x. Awesome. What happens when I plug 2 into the right side? Over here.
Things happen.
There's no way.
I can't plug anything in over there because there's no x. Good. I'm just hoping to do that. So I plug it in on the left. What happens when I plug 2 in and I square it? Becomes 4, and then 4 minus 1 is positive 3. So positive 2 worked. I do the same thing with negative 2. Negative 2 squared is minus 1 is. Hey, look, that one worked too, which means in my curly brackets, I need positive 2 and negative 2. I don't care if you write them as plus minus 2 or if you separate them. That is your choice.
Oh, wait, no. Why did I write 2?
We didn't know that it's squiggly brackets for the first 3.
technically, anytime we're talking about a solution, it wouldn't be a bad idea,
So I feel like I should just
pretty much.
Are we gonna have to do those for HNET too, put squirrely bread?
If they ask for a set of solutions, yes.
I haven't done that on.
Okay, questions, concerns, or issues? There was something I wanted to do and I can't remember what it was.
Let us do our homework.
Well, obviously you're gonna get homework time, but I feel like there was something I was gonna say.
Guitar.
To forget all of it and go back to 2 + 2.
Andrew, you can't even do that.
Extra credit on the.
No.
Oh, I need to take a picture of that or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to take a picture.
Okay, so I can't remember what it was, so we're just going to assume that we are finished. Oh, that was it.
Finished.
Here we go. You don't have to like write it down. I just want to go through it, okay? So let's say this one started out differently. Let's say that this was x squared plus 1 and this was a -3. Let's just assume that could happen, okay? Because I want to make a point here. Again, my log base e's would cancel, and I would get x squared plus 1 equals -3. What then would I do?
Minus.
Subtract 1, and I get x squared equals -4, and then I would do what? Square root, and I would get x equals the positive negative square root of -4. Do I have to keep going to know what this is going to end up being?
No.
What are my answers going to be here?
Positive, negative.
Plus and minus 2i, which means that it's imaginary and doesn't exist in my real number system. So I can't get an answer that doesn't exist in my real number system. So anytime you see a negative under the square root or you see it heading that direction, just stop. Because it means it's not going to work out. We can only get real numbers here. I can still have a square root in an answer if it doesn't come out to a nice, pretty whole number or decimal, but I can never have an I in my answer. Are we all okay with that? Let's say it all together. We can never have an I in my answer for these. You have a question, Madison? It would be no solution once you saw that happening, yes.
Would we show that or once we know?
But once you could have gotten here and recognized and just said no solution. Yeah, if it's no solution and you see it, just say no solution. Are we all good? Okay, that's what I was trying to remember that I wanted to show you. Okay, so your homework is on Canvas. It's only 5 questions. It shouldn't take you very long. Also, if you wanted to do the extra credit, you got to see her below on your test. You're more than welcome to come back and take a picture of all the questions that you missed. Don't forget, you have to correct all the questions that you missed and give another example of each type of question completely solved through to get the extra points back.
I definitely.
Just one.
Oh,
I'll tell you tomorrow.
Just change one number. Change the line.
It doesn't have to be like a super complex example. It just has to be another one